right, hello wine-drinking people. Time for more of what I've had to drink yesterday, and always happy to see our friends from Tenuta Ornellaia. Alex was in, the director of marketing and sales for the winery, and we have done several events over the year. Axel Heinz, the winemaker, we did an incredible tasting with 20 years of Ornellaia at a very good friend's home, and we've had tastings going back, well, not to the first vintage. The 85 vintage of Ornellaia is a legendary wine. It's worth about $3,000 a bottle today, and 86 is probably a better vintage, but because it's the first wine, it had a different label than all the other wines also. Very, very highly sought after, very expensive. This is their 25th anniversary, this 2010 bottling. And here is one of the landmark wineries of the Bulgaria region along the Tuscan coast. And just incredible wines. One of the first gross of Italy. This is a wine that's got worldwide demand. So you can look at Ornellaia and go, it's not worth the money. It's $200 a bottle, about the same price as Opus 1. And, it's one of these wines that if you have the means, why would you not try this wine? It's one of the world's great wines, and it's one of the world's collectibles in terms of you can put this wine in your cellar. This wine needs 10 years at least, the new release, the 2010. All right, we started out with the Padula, which is a Sauvignon Blanc, which I thought they'd stop making, which they did in 2001. Supposedly they pulled up all the vines and regrafted it to Merlot, that Maceto. Just a little bit more valuable than Sauvignon Blanc. And 1,000 vines didn't take, or they forgot to pull them, or whatever. I never heard grafting that didn't take. But they still make about 8,000 bottles. Only 200 cases come to the U.S., so a very unique a style of Sauvignon Blanc from Italy, fermented in barrique and a bit more structured than the original version, which is a little lighter and fresher. This wine has got good richness on the nose, ripe melon, green fig fruits, and pink grapefruit citrus there as well. Light musky quality here, just like you get from Sauvignon Blanc, but a really nice amount of minerality here showing through on the finish. Even though it does have that lovely, rich, decadent fruit, this wine has got lovely structure, and I would say it's one of those Sauvignon Blancs 10 years from now still going to be drinking brilliantly, the 2011 Padula. Hey, $50, it's not cheap, but anything with Ornellaia's name on it is going to be a couple of bucks, and even the entry level of Volte is up to $28.50. And this is a wine that they added Dell'Ornellaia onto the label just to make it a little more apparent that it is the entry level wine from this property. It's mostly Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon from the estate. Everything from Tenuta Ornellaia is estate, except for the Sangiovese that goes into this La Volte. It's sourced from vineyards in the Morellino di Scanzano area, or close by to there. They wanted to give this wine that juicy red berry fruit from the Sangiovese that you get from Morellino. This wine is forward and juicy, has a lot of plum and cherry, really seductive notes of fine herbs, a little milk chocolate there as well. Smooth and silky on the tongue. This 2011, drinking really nicely, even at this young stage in its life. And, this is a wine that's meant to be drank on release. It's one of those wines, like I said, you want to keep Ornellaia, so they have to give you a couple of choices to order from this property that you can drink today. A nice zesty finish on this very good wine at $28.50. All right, the Licera Novo, which we show this wine with Ornellaia, and I don't recommend doing that because a lot of people like this better, and it's not better, it is just more drinkable. It's from the same vineyard that Ornellaia comes from, and when they do the barrels, they taste all the barrels, and the ones that do not make the selection for Ornellaia go to Licera Novo. It's a blend of 45% Merlot, 41 Cabernet Sauvignon, 5% Cab Franc, 9% Petit Verdot, and it's almost a third of the price of Ornellaia. So same fruit, same regiment in terms of how they make it, just a selection in the winery here. So this wine sees 12 months of aging, and then it goes into some first and second oak. Also 190,000 bottles made of this wine. The first vintage was 1997. They made this to make a better first wine. That's what a lot of the chateaus do in Bordeaux. They make a second wine, so the first wine is elevated in terms of the status. This wine has got a really well-endowed bouquet of cassis and currant berry fruit, some toasty oak spice, dark cocoa, a little cigar box in there, really opening up nicely, and a very stylish and rich wine on the palate with layers of toasty oak spice and red berry fruits and really tightly wound tannins here, though, on the finish. Even though it's a little bit more forward than the Ornellaia, this 2010 is a classic vintage. Some nice dark cocoa notes showing through the finish. Excellent juice at $81. Well, we've got a deal on this. We'll probably get it down to $69 or in the $60 price range when it's all said and done. And then the Tenuta Ornellaia, the big boy. This is Well, it's 53% Cabernet this year, 39% Merlot, 4% Cab Franc, 4% Petit Verdot. A very good vintage, but they feel 2011 is even better. And let me tell you, this 2010 is really big, well-endowed wine on the nose, dark currants, plums, and a lot of toasty oak spice, dark mocha, some fresh plowed earth, really complex with layers of nuance coming out as this wine opens up. A big and chewy wine on the tongue. The 2010 needs a lot of time. This wine showing very dry on the finish, a lot of tannins here, but has a lot of everything else, that dark berry fruit, that toasty oak spice, the minerality, and everything is in proportion. This is a wine that needs, like I said, 8 to 10 years in the cellar, but wow, is it going to reward you if you set it aside. At $200 plus, hey man, this is a wine that should last 20 or 30 years in the cellar at that price, and who knows, it probably will. All right, well, check it out. Everything I had to drink with our friends from Tenuta Ornellaia. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying, remember, always drink the good stuff first.